So everybody, three players that could act as new signings for Manchester City. Listen, there are youngsters there. There are youngsters that are available that could still make a massive impact on this City side. We've seen Cole Palmer fire England under-21s to the Euro final and potentially Euro success. You've seen Rico Lewis embed himself into central midfield, almost left back, right back last season, just be so influential when he came in. A real mature head and someone who was able to dictate play and influence the City resurgence really at one point. But I think the three hallmarks and the three players that you're looking at when making a difference this Manchester City side is going to be John Stones, who's obviously been an ever-present in this City side, Calvin Phillips and Julian Alvarez. Now, we'll start with John Stones, 29 years of age, an absolute credit to this Manchester City side. Bernardo Silva said if there was one player who he wishes was Portuguese, it would be John Stones, and you can completely understand that. Just such a level head on the ball, can do anything. He can pass the ball efficiently laterally. When he's going forward, he's excellent. Defensively, he's obviously very good on the turn, left, right. We saw him in the Champions League final and the FA Cup final just excel. And the big games, he's proven he can do it now. And that is in central midfield, really, when you look at his advanced position. So is that going to be like a new signing? John Stones moving up into central midfield? I think it will be. And it's going to develop so many aspects of his game. He's got a very, very good passing range. As I say, he's very good on the half turn, which is important in those central midfield positions. He's reasonably quick as well. I think people overlook how quick he is. I think he's got all of the attributes to be a successful central midfielder. So he could definitely act as a new signing. When you look at the other one, it's Calvin Phillips. You know, Phillips he's not a spring chicken. Of course he's not. But I also think that he's taken a year to develop into this Pep Guardiola system, which naturally has taken Rodri, Cancelo, Jack Grealish time to really adapt to. What now happens with Calvin Phillips? Do you ever see him getting ahead of Rodri, who Rodri, I believe, is younger than him as well? I don't know if I do. But what Calvin Phillips will be looking for is to feature more, and for Pep to trust him and to maybe up his games to 15 starts per season. We mentioned on a previous video that City could potentially play 150 games in the next 2 seasons, which is ridiculous, but it's where City are, the quality of their squad and how many games they're going to have to play as a result of that. Calvin Phillips is going to have to be an addition to this Manchester City side at some point where Pep Guardiola can look at him and really rely and depend on him. This has got to come for Calvin Phillips. We saw under Marcelo Bielsa's system at Leeds United, his passing range was there. How combative he was in that central midfield, how physical he was, how confident he was. And I think he's not really been that normal Calvin Phillips tenacious self that we saw at Leeds United. So we need to see that develop. Calvin's definitely got it in his locker. So he's going to be another one who City fans are going to be looking at next season and thinking he could be a new signing because he's barely played. The same with John Stones in terms of him going into that central midfield. But Calvin Phillips is now probably going to be competing with John Stones in that central midfield capacity because Stones was so good. Very, very different players, of course. But it's a different question that's going to be at Pep Guardiola's door now because of the genius of the man and him making John Stones into this hybrid. But hopefully by keeping Calvin Phillips in the lurch, he's got that hunger and he's got that tenacity back, but it needs to start quickly. And finally, for me, everybody, it is Julian Alvarez. 18 goals in all competitions. You can't say it was a bad season. His minute-to-goal ratio was exceptionally good, one of the best in the Premier League. But where and how will he start ahead of Erling Haaland? Will it be another position? Could he start in midfield? Could we see that with Pep a little bit more? Maybe like an advanced 8, number 10, when De Bruyne has been rested, or Bernardo's, if he's still about, is being rested. There's so many options in that part of the pitch for Manchester City. But Julian Alvarez will be wanting more game time, 100%. And not everybody can get full game time at Manchester City, and he's only a young lad. But if he can come in and hit the ground running again, but to a different level and play more games, it's going to be like a new signing. Of course it is. So as we know, citizens, that is why this club is ran so well, because the players who were even on the periphery normally learn after a year under Pep Guardiola. They really do. And then they come into their own and they become a new signing. If I were to tell you Jack Grealish was going to be like he was, or Rodri was going to be like he was after the first season, you wouldn't have believed it. So real excellent recruitment there by Manchester City and a real excellent plan, and that's why City never panic. Guys, make sure you're checking out the Talking City podcast, which is always available on Spotify, Apple, and of course YouTube. Really appreciate your support. Make sure you're tuning into everything Manchester City, and we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.